Hello, everybody.
Howdy. Thursday. It is not Wednesday. I feel like we're throwing everyone off because it was a short week. We pushed it to Thursday. I gotta tell you, I'm thrown off from the whole situation. But
our summer schedule has been a little wonky, but we really appreciate everybody, working with us at different times, different days. Just still trying to get you all the latest and greatest in the world of football and housewives.
Well, I actually do have a latest and greatest.
Breaking news.
I don't know how much breaking it is because it's still unfolding, but it does have to do with the New York Giants. And I do know a lot of our fan base is Giants. So apparently the Giants and the Dolphins are closing on a deal to, unfortunately, give Darius Slayton to the Miami Dolphins. But let's talk about a stacked wide receiver room they're going to have. We're actually, funny enough, we'll talk. It's a little bit of a spoiler. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so it just came up on my feed, so nothing is final yet. But that is the latest and greatest from football that I just actually opened up Twitter to. So
listen, at the end of the day, we knew that the Giants were going to part with him. We knew that they were going to shop him, and you just
a little upsetting, yeah.
You want to see him go somewhere and get picked up and hopefully, be successful. We obviously are big fans of Darius Slayton. Hate to see him go, but we say it all the time. And it's hard when it's the New York Giants, but we have to say it for everybody, all 32 teams. It's a business and we get it.
Yeah. So we'll see. Obviously more to come when there's really not much right now, but we'll see.
All right. Well, we will be talking about wide receivers later, like Kate said, but this is episode 210 of the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. A lot to go over tonight.
Do you like the sweatshirt I'm wearing, by the way?
Yes, I do.
It was a part of my Twitter promo. It's I think it might be backwards for people, but it says, "I decorated, I cooked, I made it nice." It is an iconic quote from Miss Dorinda Medley. So Katie had gifted me this sweatshirt recently, and I'm forever, ever grateful. I love it. It's such a great.
And I have it too, so we can match.
We can, but Katie, where did you get the sweatshirt actually?
I believe this was Etsy. Etsy honestly has such good housewives stuff. You can go in and you could type in anything housewives related in the search bar in Etsy, and you're gonna find some real golden treasures.
Some gems. I know
I'm pretty sure that was Etsy.
We do have a couple of things from there. I know even our koozies that we give out, that's from a girl on Etsy. So she does a great job. So I'll look this one up and see because I want to link it to our audience. I think this might be a fan favorite. It definitely will be. It's a good, I'm excited to wear it.
It's tonight, a good one. It's a good one. All right. Well, we're going to start off our show with some poll questions that we asked you guys on our social media outlets. We've got 3 of them for you. They actually we're all very, very close. So
yeah, that makes me feel good because I felt like I was in the minority for a little bit, and then I'm having here.
No, we've got some close ones here. So this first one is actually, funny enough, again, wide receiver related, but it is: will the Rams' Cooper Kupp lead the league in receiving yards again this season? 68% of you, I'm a little surprised on this actually. 68% of you said no. I actually said no, but I thought I was going to be in the minority. What did you say?
So I said yes. And as I was seeing, the votes come in on my personal Instagram, on our Twitter account for Real Football Fans in New Jersey, I was kind of taken back a little bit. So now I'm a little happy to hear that your audience is a little more on my side. If it was kind of in that almost 50-50 realm. I did go yes. I think Cooper Kupp is an animal, and I think I've said it on the show before. He has only really himself to beat, in my opinion. So he's going to go out and he's going to be an animal again this year and really try to beat himself. I'm reading a ton of, fantasy, not just, blogs, but actual physical handheld magazines that you can buy at Wegmans that are analyzing everything. And a couple of them, you're seeing him as the top fantasy pick over everyone. So if people are really going to pull that much data into it and look at it, it's kind of hard to go past a lot of the numbers that you see. So I definitely see it again from him this year. So I do feel strongly with the yes on this one. So
Okay, so the only reason like I really swayed towards no, because I could easily see it happening.
Right.
I just think it would be hard for anybody. Like, first off, I don't think he can repeat the season that he just had. I mean, that was an historic season.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to see those numbers again. I think we're going to see easily top five for sure. I think that there are just so many good wide receivers in this league right now. I think that's my only thing. It's where it could be. All you're asking is it going to be Cooper Kupp or is it going to be any of those other really good wide receivers? I just think the chances are that it could be one of the other guys because, like we said, we're going to talk more about wide receivers later. There are so many good ones in the league. It would be hard for anybody to repeat as receiving yard leader, season after season in this league right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So even like Derrick Henry, like guys contend with Derrick Henry, of course, and Derrick Henry's put up some historic seasons, but you've always got guys like knocking on the doorstep right there because we've got good running backs in the league now too.
We do, yeah.
It could honestly be a number of guys could have that top spot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, question number 2. Will the addition of quarterback Russell Wilson make Denver an above 500 team this season? 62% of you said yes. Kate, I think we were split on this one again, you and I. I said yes.
I said no. So we were split on this one. It's interesting when I sat down to really look at this. I've said it, beforehand, that I like the move for Russell Wilson. I like the move for Denver. I think it's an exciting time for them for sure. And I'm excited to see that opening game, but I just don't know right off the bat if like he's the end all be all. I know you pulled up some stats 2 episodes ago, I think, of his, most recent seasons being some of his best, which is truly remarkable. And I think that he is obviously a very talented quarterback. Where I pull up, I just look at Denver in general. And I remember last episode we had with Sam Prince, where I actually kind of mixed up. I kind of like caught myself when I said I thought the Giants my hot take was they would be at 500 or above this year. And then I said, I'm still not on the right track of the amount of games we have. Because I said 8 wins. And I was like, shit, that's not 500 anymore. Yeah. So I actually thought about that moment today when I analyzed this. And I was like, Caitlin, do you truly think Denver is going to get more than 8 wins? I don't think so. I really don't. So that's actually, I had that like come to Jesus moment from like last week. I was like, wait a minute. Like, no, I just don't see it right now. I could, if we want to jump to 2023, like I could place money that I would place money on it that maybe 2023, yes, of course, over 500. Because I think this will be a good year for them. Yeah. But does good translate to that? I don't think so.
Okay, so I'll play devil's advocate. Like I'll go both sides. Mm-hmm. I'll agree with you and say no. The only reason I would go no is because of the division that they have to play in.
Well, that as well, yes. That's a big one.
That's the big factor if I was going to say no. But I did say yes. And almost to go into what you were saying, how we broke down Russell Wilson, these last like 2-3 years with the Seahawks were some of his best years, which is funny because these last 2-3 seasons is when we've seen the Seahawks go downhill. You're saying that Russell Wilson isn't the end all be all, and I agree. But actually, his more average seasons with the Seahawks back in the day is when the Seahawks were a powerhouse.
Like very good, yeah.
Going to the Super Bowl, always in the playoffs, NFC championship games. And I think it's because they had a monster defense. And I'm not saying that the Denver Broncos defense is what those Seattle Seahawks defenses were back in the day, but they're a very underrated, solid defense.
Right.
And so, yes, I don't think Russell Wilson is the end all be all, but I think he's playing with a great defense. And I think he's got some weapons on offense. So I don't think it has to be all Russell Wilson. And I think that is the fact that he's got a solid collective team on both sides of the football. It's going to be a hard division to play in, but I think they can go above 500.
All right. I like that argument. It's a good one. I like that. Yep.
And then last but not least, and we tied this in with a topic we're talking about tonight for Housewives. What is your favorite Countess Luann's song. Is it Chic C'est La Vie or Money Can't Buy You Class? This was our tightest one, our closest one. But 53% of you the ultimate OG Luann song in Money Can't Buy You Class. Kate, what did you go with?
So I ended up going with Chic C'est La Vie. And I do want to point out that Luann actually shared my poll to her story. So we actually got like a ton more votes than I thought we were going to, because she shared, but they're random people. She did not vote though. I'm very upset about that. I want to get her opinion for sure. We should ask her that the next time we see her. But
which one do you like performing more, Lou?
I know, like, let us know. I obviously Money Can't Buy You Class is such a OG, like you said, and it's like when you hear it out of her mouth, you just laugh because it's Luann. I just love because Katie and I have listened to these songs on repeat. Like,
they're on all like my Spotify playlists
all the time. So I just think like when you really want to like get that vibe going, like I just love Chic C'est La Vie, and it's just like c'est bon. Same on. Like you just like really just like bop to it, and it's just like I just had to go with that one for sure.
I went with Chic C'est La Vie, and I do feel like it's more of the one that gets stuck in my head, the one that I really want to sing to, and I think that one gets the edge as well because of my favorite part of that song, which is like when she's going through her cast members and she's saying what all of them are going to bring, and because it's like Kelly and the Jelly Beans and like Alex and Simon, it's actually that when she's going through that verse, it's taking me and transporting me to Scary Island.
Right. Well, yes, it's 100%.
Reminding me of Kelly with the Jelly Beans, and that's like to me one of, if not the most iconic Roni episodes. So I love that it transports me back to that specific cast and that specific episode. And then of course, with it being so catchy, it is my favorite Luann song.
Kelly, the Jelly Beans. That's like that.
And Simon, and I'll bring the diamonds.
They're just so good. Like honestly, so and I know we're gonna get into more of it later. So I'll actually
Ramona, bring that email.
I'll share some more of my thoughts on songs later, but honestly, like it's so good to just like think back to the moments of like when these songs have aired, what episodes they remind you of, like everything like that. So always a good laugh for sure.
Yep.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys, as always, for voting on our polls. We had a ton of engagement across Instagram and Twitter. If you are watching live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I do see a ton of people on Twitter. Thank you. If you want to engage with us throughout the show, you have to tweet back at us, or you have to go over to YouTube and Facebook and comment in there. Any questions for us, send them in. If you have your thoughts on the poll results, send them in, and or any single thought you have on the topics today. So why don't we go ahead and get into the big stories of the week for football, and we finally have the news on a trade for Baker Mayfield. We've been waiting for it. Was Cleveland going to hold him hostage, up until the season started? What were they going to do? Who was going to go after them? There was a couple of different suitors, but he was indeed traded to the Carolina Panthers. So yesterday, Ian Rappaport reported that Cleveland and Carolina agreed to a trade that will send Cleveland quarterback Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers in exchange for a 2024 conditional 5th round pick, which can become a 4th round selection. To me, I don't know how I feel about that.
Can you blame Carolina for like it makes all the sense in the world for me for Carolina to do this. I know that people are like making the joke of like, okay, just because you collect a bunch of quarterbacks, you got Sam Darnold, you got Matt Corral, now you got Baker Mayfield. Just because you collect a bunch doesn't mean that like now all 3 of them make one good quarterback. I get it.
Yeah.
But like in my mind, that's giving up nothing. Like that's giving up nothing. So you might as well be like, first off, they had one of, if not the worst quarterback situation heading into this season.
Yes.
Being like, okay, your rookie probably isn't ready to start week 1. No. And so now you're looking at Sam Darnold, and that's not going to do anything for you. So to me, it's like when I saw what they gave up, I was like, and the fact that, and we'll get into this, but like Baker took like a little bit of a pay cut here. Why the hell not?
You're out of Cleveland. I actually, Baker Mayfield is not my favorite quarterback, but I am actually pleased to see him out of Cleveland. So I'm happy for him for sure. So Cleveland is actually going to pay Baker Mayfield $10.5 million this season, which means they trimmed over $8 million in cash and salary cap space. Carolina will pay Baker $5 million, and he agreed to trim $3.5 million off his base salary. So that's the cut we were talking about just before. Yeah. And listen, Carolina and Cleveland are playing each other week 1. So call it written in the stars, call it fate, call it maybe the NFL had this written somewhere down previously. They thought this might happen. So they put them together week 1. I don't know, but that is what happened. So we're probably not going to get the game up here, but we will watch Red Zone. So I'd like to see what goes on in week 1 against the two of them. Baker Mayfield now joins quarterback Sam Darnold in Carolina, where they both have almost identical deals. They're both in their 5th and final year on their contract. And funny enough, I think it's hilarious that the Carolina Panthers have 2 first-round draft picks on their roster, and they were just one in between someone there. So I think that's really funny. It was Saquon was in between the two of them, right? Yeah. So you have 2 back-to-back technically first-round picks right there. They're also joining rookie Matt Corral, as Katie mentioned before. They drafted in the 3rd round of this year's draft. So listen, it's a lot in one scenario. I kind of joked about it. I tweeted about it when it happened. With the quarterback room being so heavy, I had laughed that Carolina's almost like it's when you take spaghetti and throw it against the wall and see what sticks. So they're probably going to be like, shit, we've got 3 of you. Let's just see. In my mind, realistically, I think Baker Mayfield will start week 1. If I'm just putting all my football logic into one basket.
I don't think I'm ready to also I know this, we argue that people shouldn't do it so much with coaches or quarterbacks, give them a season or 2. And if they're not, whatever, then we're done with them. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not ready to say that Baker Mayfield, being a starting quarterback, being a winning starting quarterback in the league is done. Those days are over. I'm not there yet. Not with him. He had, this past season was the season before, he looked like he was bringing Cleveland to the promised land. Oh my God, we can finally be good. We've got our guy and we're winning football games. And people are so easy to forget that he had that really good season just because this past one wasn't so great. People are so easy to forget. But at the same time, I also feel as this is such an excellent reminder of how incredibly hard it is to get the correct quarterback in the draft.
Absolutely.
Because this was that big draft. Josh Rosen, it might not even be on a football team.
Well, someone joked now that Carolina should call up Josh Rosen. Just get him on the roster. Get him. I think it was Talking Giants joked
about. Might not even be on a roster this year. Okay. Josh Allen ended up being the guy, but this was the big one. Then you've had Lamar Jackson, who was the 5th one drafted. Yep. Okay. And then you have Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, who went before both of them.
Right.
It is so hard to evaluate quarterbacks based on, obviously, all they have to go off of is what they, did in high school and did in college and what they did at their pro day and everything like that. It's so hard to get it right.
Right.
And when you do, you've got to hold on to them for dear life. Buffalo, you got to keep Josh Allen until the end of time. But it is so incredibly hard. And it's just and even you can even look at Saquon. Saquon was the 2nd one taken in that draft. And obviously there were tons of rumblings this offseason about should the Giants be trading Saquon? It is so hard to evaluate talent. You need really good people in your building. That's why I'm excited about Joe Shane, because I know he has an extensive resume when it comes to recruiting. And that makes me really excited about him because it is hard as hell to get it right.
To get that guy.
It really is. So no matter the position, but quarterback, you don't want to swing for the fences and take someone in the top 5. And it just already Cleveland is moving on from Baker. And it's you don't want that. That's worst case scenario.
No, of course not. It gives me a little bit of a pit in my stomach because I don't know if the Giants will be that team next year, but we'll see what happens. Or maybe
but like Daniel Jones at this point, like being our starter this upcoming season, like nobody will ever be able to say that like the Giants really didn't, like, yes, we could have, of course, drafted better players, picked up better players. We could have built more talent around him. You can argue that.
Right.
But you can't argue that you didn't give him the seasons to try and make it work. Like you didn't throw him out after 2-3 seasons. Like you gave the guy a chance. So
giving him a lot of chances for sure. I think with Baker, and I definitely like respect your opinion on like saying you're not ready to say like he's not gonna, do anything in the NFL anymore. I think the only thing that I question, because you brought up that good season, what I had seen, like it was an interesting like statement for someone to make was, well, now what is Carolina going to get? Are you going to get the first 2 years of cocky Baker Mayfield? Are you going to get phenomenal player Baker Mayfield? Or are you going to get like I shit the bed Baker Mayfield?
But it's worth finding out because your option is Sam Darnold. So let's roll the dice on Baker. Honestly,
you're not wrong that one. So
Marcus Mariota is going to be a starter in this league, like this upcoming season. You're going to tell me that like Baker doesn't deserve to at least be a starter in the league right now? Mm-hmm. I don't think he's done poorly enough to be like, we are done with him. He'll never be a starter in the league ever again. He's a backup. He's holding the clipboard for the rest of the time. No way. Mm-hmm. No way.
Yeah. Like I said, though, I'm happy he is out of Cleveland. I think what they did to him in this scenario right now, going after Deshaun Watson, was insanely disrespectful. And especially now, a lot of tweets are going out like, well, what is Cleveland going to do now? I replied to a couple of things, that's their own damn fault. Like that's their own thing that's what they have to figure out now. So they, it's
their bed. Now they got to lie in it.
100%. That was the phrase that was going on in my head, but I like had it wrong. I was like, what is that? What is that saying? But yes, they 100% have to lie in it now. So listen, I don't really care for them and what their decision making. So.
All right. Well, we definitely just got feisty with our opinions, but let's get into
more opinions
with NFL Quick Hot Opinions. On Tuesday, Chad Reuter wrote an article for NFL.com. This was a very interesting, like off-season creative little piece.
Yes.
He created a 7-round, literally 7 rounds. So this went on
like G bless. I hope they're paying him good money to do this.
A lot of research. A 7-round NFL mock draft, but it's based on players who are already in the league. And then he drafted them based on who you would want to select to build a win now team. Like,
what a concept.
If we're picking Tom Brady, you can't make the argument of, well, Tom Brady's not going to be in the league, 2-3 years from now.
Right.
It's just win right now. Who do you want? And then.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I didn't really do it that way, but I get it. I know.
Yes,
but
it's not looking at like because then nobody would take Tom Brady because he'll play like one more season, then he's done.
Right.
And then the draft order that he used is the same draft order from this draft this past spring. So we are going to reveal Chad's top 10. And we're also going to give our own top 10 picks for those same teams. Just a heads up, I know like some of you might be excited, like, ooh, so the Giants are going to get 2 picks. Well, no, we took Chicago's pick at 7 in the real draft. In this one, we're picking it as Chicago.
Yes.
And who they would have on their team.
Yes.
So we are starting it off number 1 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll say Chad's and then we can both give our own.
Yep.
But he went with quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Kate, who did you go with?
I actually picked Joe Burrow for this one. Yes, I know. Young stud off the board. While I get the win now mentality, I'm actually looking a little bit for Jacksonville. I don't know if they have the luxury of that win now mentality. And I don't know if an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady could actually get them that. So I look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, young, trying to build the team around them, what they did in the draft technically, and then I look at what Joe Burrow was able to do without an offensive line. The Bengals might have shaped things up around in other areas, but a lot of people do like to forget, and I think maybe they just like black it out in their minds, that their offensive line was trash this past season. Trash up until the Super Bowl. So this kid took them to wonders. So if Jacksonville's still got some tweaking to do and they're still kind of working things out, they can still win now. And I think they're looking for that young mindset and who we can work around. So that's why I went with Joe Burrow on that one.
All right. I did not agree with you or Chad. I went with quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And the reason I'm specifically like, I would more so take him over a guy like Aaron Rodgers is because I'm not even saying Patrick Mahomes is better than Aaron Rodgers, because you can, of course, make the case that Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league right now.
Right.
But I still cannot fathom that Aaron Rodgers has only won one Super Bowl. And it happened many, many, many moons ago that he won that Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is a winner. And if we are literally talking win now, Patrick Mahomes wins right now. And I'm not saying that Green Bay doesn't win during the regular season, but Patrick Mahomes is capable of winning Super Bowls right now. And Aaron Rodgers should be, but it just doesn't happen. So I'm going with Mahomes on this one. All right, number 2, we've got the Detroit Lions. Chad went with quarterback Tom Brady. Kate, who do you got?
Excuse me. I went with Tom Brady as well, because we've said it like on the show, like Detroit is not a bad football team. Like they were in games last year. Like they've shown that they're bringing on talent. And what is that kind of big question mark for them? Quarterback. So if you bring in a quarterback like Tom Brady, and who knows if his mindset's going to be a little wonky because he retired, unretired, yada, yada, yada. Who cares about that junk? He wins games. He'll take the team up and down the field when he has to. We've seen him come from behind so many times. And the Lions lost so many games in like the last second last year. With Tom Brady, that's not going to happen. So for them to win, they got to bring him on.
I went with Tom Brady as well. And I think this literally piggybacks off of my first pick of Patrick Mahomes. Is like, who are the 2 guys? First off, you got to go like quarterbacks here, because obviously a quarterback is going to make the biggest difference in your football team,
right,
of winning and losing. And so to me, the 2 guys in the league who are win right now, who win Super Bowls, who are always in the Super Bowl, it's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. They're going hand in hand for me. I had to go Brady at 2 as well. Okay, number 3, we've got the Houston Texans. Chad went with quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Kate, who do you got?
So this is where I slated Aaron Rodgers. I think, like, from a personal perspective between the franchise and Aaron Rodgers, this would be a complete dumpster fire because
he thinks he doesn't have anyone to work with in Green Bay. You wouldn't like Houston, boy.
You have nothing there, but they are still going to pick you up because you are a veteran in the league. They have David Mills, I don't know, at quarterback right now. They need at least one known name on that team, and I think they would go for a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
This is where I put Aaron Rodgers as well. So, yeah, to me, like my obvious top 3 was Mahomes, Brady, and Rodgers. Just a matter of how you would want to configure them. But I feel as though, like I said, Mahomes and Brady over Rodgers, because they win Super Bowls, at least in recent memory. So, all right, 4, we've got the New York Jets. Chad went with quarterback, funny enough, a divisional rival here. He went with quarterback Josh Allen.
I agreed with him on this one, and it was because of the division. I thought it made perfect sense for a Bills quarterback just to go a little bit south in New York, right down to technically New Jersey, go over to MetLife with the New York Jets. Obviously, it's a team that you play twice a year. You know what they're doing. You know exactly how to play within that division. So go after that quarterback for sure. So I 100% agree with him here.
I went with Josh Allen as well. So I agree with everything you went with. And you're just kind of looking at the powerhouses that, like, to me, I kind of have my top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. And sure enough, my top 5 in this is going to follow that. So I've got Josh going At 4 to the Jets. And at 5, we have Chad going with, we got the New York Giants here. So we have Mr. Joe Burrow going to the New York Giants in Chad's top 10. So Kate, who do you have at 5 for our New York Football Giants?
I wouldn't hate this, but Katie, I got to tell you, after 4 picks, I got sick of picking quarterbacks. And I really wanted to mix things up, and I really wanted to get creative. So I actually went with TJ Watt on this one. I like what the Giants are doing. We went into the actual NFL draft knowing we needed an edge rusher. I love everything TJ Watt is doing. He is a power on defense, and I would love him for the New York Giants. So
you know what I like about that? Because he obviously tied Michael Strahan's sack record. So if he happened to beat it, at least you
as a Giant
uniform.
As a Giant. So yep, I went. And actually a couple of my other picks are I was getting very bored of the quarterback situation.
I know. Okay, so mine is, again, like, and this was not my particular 1 through 5 of how I would rank them, but I did have who I believe are the top 5 quarterbacks in the league as my top 5 picks. And there's always been quiet, I wouldn't say large rumblings, I'd say quiet mouse rumblings of rumors that maybe this guy would ever go to the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I went with quarterback Russell Wilson.
Oh, so Katie, that is not mouse thing. That happens every year. That rumor I think it's like for the last 5 years. That rumor has been, I must say though, I've seen the mock-ups of him in a Giants jersey. It looks great. But
here's the thing. There are so many quarterbacks in the league. We can go through all of them, right?
Right.
And whether they are the best in the league, some of them I just don't see as New York Giants. Like I just
100%
picture it because I think there is a very specific mold. Clearly, Daniel Jones is the literal clone of Eli Manning. There's a very specific guy that we need at quarterback for the New York Giants. And I feel like Russell Wilson is such an incredible leader and a good person on and off the field. And he's a winner. I just feel like I could picture Russell Wilson as a New York Giant. And I like this fit here at number 5 for our G-Men. Okay, number 6, we have the Carolina Panthers. Chad went with quarterback Justin Herbert. Kate?
And with the news with Baker Mayfield, they're not bringing on another quarterback, even though they probably would. I know. I'm trying to be a little realistic here. And again, I'm pretty sick of the whole the quarterback room here. So again, a couple of my next picks won't be quarterbacks. I'm going with wide receiver Cooper Kupp on this one. You bring in 3 quarterbacks into your room. Carolina needs a playmaker, in my opinion. Obviously you have Christian McCaffrey, but you're also prone to injury with Christian McCaffrey. He can only take you so far. So who's going to be your next powerhouse? It's not Robbie Anderson. Unfortunately, I'm sure he'll do good things, but who's someone that can do that? So I had to go with Cooper Kupp on this one.
I like it. I agreed with Chad. I went with Justin Herbert. So I was boring. I went with quarterback.
Yeah. No, I kept it. I moved it around.
Spicy.
A quarterback will come back, but I'm keeping it spicy. I promise.
All right. Well, at number 7, we have the Chicago Bears. And Chad this is where he went with quarterback Russell Wilson. Kate?
Yeah, again, you definitely could have picked quarterback here. I mean, I think that Chicago Bears definitely need a quarterback. But I kind of went explosive again in another area. I did go wide receiver, and I went with Tyreek Hill on this one. I went with someone who's a fast, explosive player and could make a difference really quickly. Actually, in my opinion, who's ever behind throwing the ball. So you have Justin Fields. Obviously, I think that's the presumed starter as we go into this season. So kind of took a little bit of a risk here as well. So.
Okay, so I'm not a fan of this style of quarterback like Justin Fields, like Kyler Murray, guys like that.
Right.
But just because I'm not a fan of it, clearly Chicago is getting a guy like Justin Fields. So why don't we just upgrade Justin Fields, and why don't we go with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson?
Okay, that makes sense.
This is who I'm taking at 7 for Chicago. All right, number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Chad went with Lamar Jackson here at 8 for Atlanta. Who do you have?
I decided to not take the easy route with quarterback again. I took an interesting route, and actually we said it before. We'll talk about wide receivers a little bit later. And you can see the wide receiver room in Atlanta. You can see the running back room, the tight end room, everything like that. So if you put quarterback aside, I actually looked at a guy like Deebo Samuel, and I know he's come out and he said that he doesn't like being that dual threat. Maybe he doesn't like being that dual threat for the 49ers. So
Patterson doing that. You could have
I know
two of those ultimate dual threat monsters.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. And maybe if Deebo was put into a different situation where he wasn't the only guy doing everything, you had another player doing it, maybe that would be good. And for Atlanta to do that, in my opinion, I know they brought in I question sometimes bringing in, solid veterans. You brought in Julio Jones, or you had Julio Jones, you got rid of him, you brought in a couple, it didn't really work out. So I think this might be okay though. This might be a different one, but
imagine trying to game plan for Cordarrelle Patterson and Deebo, where at any point either one of them could be catching or running the football. That would be
watch out.
Very creative. So we were at number 8, Atlanta. This is where, I can't leave this guy off the list here. So this is where I put quarterback Joe Burrow, obviously a very young, talented quarterback. I am slightly, because I think Burrow and Herbert get compared a lot.
Right.
And I even though obviously we saw what Burrow did this past season, obviously making it to the Super Bowl and just having a magical season, I still like Justin Herbert just a smidge better. So I had to put Herbert at least above Burrow, but I could not leave Burrow off this top 10, especially since I went all quarterbacks. So this is basically Katie's top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So
I did not do that.
At number 9, we have the Denver Broncos. I guess I didn't play this game thinking of it as they've got Russell Wilson. They don't need a quarterback. But Chad went with quarterback Dak Prescott.
So I kept it as Russell Wilson is their guy. And why don't you make Russell Wilson better by bringing in one of the best offensive linemen in the league? So I went with Trent Williams from the 49ers. So he's one of the highest paid offensive line. I think he is the highest paid lineman right now. So bring in a solid offensive lineman. So I took a cool route on that one. So
yeah. You know what? The way I played the game, I guess, is Russell Wilson's gone. He's on the New York Giants. So
he's unavailable now.
At number 9, Denver, I went with quarterback Dak Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
So give credit where credit is due. He's obviously, a talented football player. And when healthy, I think we can see big things from him. And then last but not least, we have Seattle. This is Chad's one and only non-quarterback. Oh. He went with, obviously, the best defensive player in the game in defensive tackle, Aaron Donald. Obviously, a massive game changer.
Mm-hmm. I went with a game changer as well, and I didn't leave him off my list. So I don't want people to get their panties in a bunch, but I did go with quarterback Patrick Mahomes with Seattle.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that you didn't do Patrick.
I know. But there's some people I clearly didn't go the quarterback route, so I left a lot of people off the list.
Yeah.
But I did not forget about Patrick Mahomes, true playmaker, game changer. And for a team like Seattle, who was stripped from a lot of things this season, but they still have some core areas of the team. I think a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes could come in and help them. Same division, obviously. So
yeah, and Patrick Mahomes is
not the same division. Ignore that comment.
Patrick Mahomes does a lot of similar things that Russell Wilson does, by the way, too, as far as Harry Houdini, getting out of, sacks and just running around the football field and keeping plays alive. So they definitely have their differences, but they also have some strong similarities as well. I went with someone who I also feel kind of fits into that category of being a Houdini, being able to keep plays alive, running it if he has to. This is where I throw in, as much as I know we're not huge fans, but this is quarterback Kyler Murray for me.
Yeah.
These are basically like my top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now. And I think it's kind of hard to argue. But yeah, he gets my last slot there.
No, and I totally get it. And that was the first thing when I, read that, we were doing this, and I read the article, and I reread everything over here. I was like, how could it not be a quarterback filled list? And that's where I definitely wanted to get a little bit more creative with it. But it just goes to show that there are so many. We joked about it last year. It's the season of the quarterback. It still is. There are so many talented quarterbacks in this league. And you could even look at a guy like Russell Wilson that you had bop over to another team. So now the Broncos need to bring someone new in, things like that. So there is so much going on in regard to the quarterback. So yes, 100%, anyone could have taken this list and listed it out, top 10 quarterbacks. But I tried to be a little bit creative here.
And I definitely think you had some really interesting and smart takes on the non-quarterbacks that you did take and why you were taking them for those specific teams. So,
but it's a lot of these, but it just goes to show too, there's a lot of talented quarterbacks out there, but a lot of teams they're still looking. They're really still looking for them.
Yes, absolutely.
All righty. Well, that was like a mini game within our story. So we have another one later. So please stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get into our big stories of the week for Housewives. Well, we're just getting started with Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2, but Season 3, the cast has been revealed.
Yeah,
so according to
Peacock is running with this thing. So
I know. Well, listen, I told you I'm excited to actually attempt to watch full the season 2, but I did catch a couple of episodes of the first one on Bravo when it transferred over, and I must say it's good. It's seeing all the people you love in one room, so it's cool to kind of see that crossover. And I must admit, I feel like Bravo does watch the Real Football Fans in New Jersey because we've been talking about this for a very long time.
Crossovers, yes.
And now they're doing it. So I don't know. I read things on NFL.com, ESPN.com. And then I'm questionable if they stole what we were doing. And now with Bravo, I don't know, there's probably little moles out there watching us, but whatever, just give us credit next time. So according to a recent report from Queens of Bravo is gearing up for a third season of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. As they will begin production in a matter of weeks. Filming will commence on July 17th, and it's going to take place in Thailand. So very interesting. Katie, I know you're excited about that one. Woo!
How did these specific women get blessed to be the third season and be getting to go to freaking Thailand?
But could you imagine if you were there while they were filming?
No, that would be amazing. But I just think this group of women, I'm gonna guess. I mean, most people haven't been to Thailand before.
Right?
They are in for an incredible experience,
for a treat.
And yes, if I'm gonna watch, if I can only watch one of these seasons, it's gonna be this just for Thailand.
Mm-hmm. All righty. So the cast will reportedly feature Giselle Bryant, Real Housewives of Potomac, Candace Dillard, Potomac, Heather Gay, Salt Lake City, Whitney Rose, Salt Lake City, Alexia Napola, Miami. So interesting seeing a Miami individual in here. Marisol Patton as well, Miami. Leah McSweeney from New York, and Tinsley Mortimer from New York. So this is a very interesting group, in my opinion.
I know, maybe you don't care, but I really do miss Tinsley. She's
no, I've said that. No, I agree with you.
Such a light energy, and
right.
she's the one that says things that are not supposed to be funny, but they just are. I miss Tinsley a lot. Yeah. I really do. And to see her get grouped with Leah, almost in a similar way, I think of Heather getting grouped with Whitney here. It's kind of you've got your bestie in tow, and you've got your safety blanket, and Leah and Tinsley together. There's a lightness and a fun energy to that.
Right. So it's an interesting group because we got 222 from or 2222 from each thing. In previous ones, some people have been like the lone like survivor pretty much. So it is seeing two sets here, but it is the first time Housewives, and we say the first time, but it will be season 3 that Miami, Salt Lake City, and Potomac franchises will be a part of Ultimate Girls Trip. I am actually a little shocked that Potomac, it took them this long because I told you, Katie, everyone raves about them.
But season 1 I feel was really meant to be the OG. OGs.
I agree.
And now that it was such a success, now we're going to see women like Whitney, like Heather, who are basically newbies still.
Right. Yeah.
This is more so now of this show is just meant to be like, let's have fun with crossovers, and they could be old or new, rather than season 1 was truly an OG season.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fair. And as of right now, it's really unclear whether or not it's going to have a twist like season 2 or follow the same format as season 1. So
just go to Thailand. Just film them in Thailand. That's all. Like, you don't need to do anything funky with it. Like, it's freaking Thailand.
We get what we get. We don't get upset. So I am definitely like all in for this. And there's a lot of women. Clearly, we're in, 3rd season casting. And there's women on this list that we're excited about. Like, we were so excited about season 1 and 2, who they were, sending out. There's people that actually aren't on the seasons anymore. But yes, they are women that everyone loves. I think that my mindset is that I don't want Bravo and Peacock, I guess, to burn this out. Like, if
eventually we're gonna run out of women.
But that's what I'm saying. If like season 3 like is kind of questionable, and like you try to do a season 4 and it sucks, just stop. You had a great run, just stop, in my opinion.
I think Thailand is going to be a huge factor. I think it's going to be like a character of its own on that season. So I think this group of women is good, but yes, like think about how quickly they pumped out the first 3 seasons of this. Like, if you're gonna pump them out that quickly, like you'll run out of Housewives real freaking quick. Like it'll be over. So I think they need to, like, after 3, maybe take some time with it, because we did report recently on our show that Peacock is planning on bringing 3 new Housewives.
It's gonna be a lot of Housewives.
Like, let's slow your roll, Peacock. Like, seriously. My God. So we'll see what happens, but I do like that cast. Obviously, I love the location, and they're doing really well with it. So, we'll see. But let's get into our second Housewives story. This is Housewife Quick Hot Opinions on Tuesday. Jen Chaney wrote an article for Vulture.com where she ranked all of the songs that have been performed by various housewives since the show started in 2006. By the way, it's 35 total songs. I actually can't believe there's that many.
I know.
Melissa Gorga had like several songs on the list. And I'm like, I thought she only had that one song. So I guess we've got to look her up on Spotify.
She's got like an album
she's got going. But we're going to reveal Jen's top 10 songs, obviously not her full 35 ranking. And then Kate and I are going to give our 3 favorite Housewife songs of all time. But let's go through her top 10 first. So at 10, we have Erica Jane's How Many F's Bleep. At number 9, we have Ashley Darby's Coffee and Love. 8, we have Adriana Demora's Feel the Rush. At 7, we have Erica Jane's Painkiller. At 6, we have Countess Luann's Feelin' Giovanni. At 5, we have Erica Jane's Expensive. At 4, we have Luann's Chic C'est La Vie. At 3, we have Kim Zolciak's Tardy for the Party. At 2, we have Candace Dillard's Drive Back. And of course, at 1, obviously an OG song, we do have Countess Luann's Money Can't Buy You Class. I'm very interested to hear your top 3. I know my 3 has 2 from Jen's top 10, but I actually have 1 that ranked really poorly in her top 35 songs, but it is my top 3. So what do you have for us? What are your top 3 favorite Housewives songs?
So my top 3 are actually in her top 10, but I do actually have an honorable mention as well.
Okay,
So my number 1 overall song is Chic C'est La Vie. Absolutely love it. Followed up by Money Can't Buy You Class. You know, we did talk about that before. It is a solid, for me, I guess it's a solid 1 for a lot of Luann fans, for me too. But I gotta say, Feelin' Giovanni is number 3 for me. For her to come out with that like 2 years ago was just like mind blowing. That it was like brand new, like really good. It was off of a joke, like literally a joke. Everything like that makes me laugh. And then my honorable mention is also a Luann song and a new song from her. It's the What Do I Want for Christmas song. Like, I loved that song. And it was actually a little bit low on the list. But I was just like really surprised that they put that all together. The video cracked me up when they did it live on the show. But that's my honorable mention. When the women get together, it's not always the best. It's a little cringeworthy sometimes. You know, we saw that on New Jersey this past season. But I must say, I actually do really like What Do I Want for Christmas by Luann and the Gang.
All right.
That's my honorable mention.
We got a full Luann list from Kate. I've got a full
She's
Luann.
the only one. Katie, I must say, I said earlier that I'll share my opinion. Looking at the total 35 songs, I was embarrassed. It was embarrassing reading this list that all of these women, and I will say, Candy Burris she's actually like an actual singer and she has like a really nice voice. I'm just not really into like that style of music. She won the Masked Singer, actually. Like, she has a really good voice. I wouldn't even actually put her on this list. Like, she's actually like a real like recording artist. These other women though, like, yikes. Like, looking at this list was just
terrible. It's
horrendous.
Terrible.
So
it's terrible.
That was I said that earlier. I wanted to share my opinion. I was embarrassed. I had secondhand embarrassment reading this.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
So bad.
My top 3 is all Luann. So my number 1 overall, Kate, I agree with you. It's got to be Chic C'est La Vie.
So good.
So I think this is probably going to make you pee your pants.
What's
my number 2, which was 34 out of 35 on her list, is What Do I Want for Christmas?
Oh my God, it's good, Katie. It's such a good song.
I am that person that could listen to Christmas music year round.
Same.
I'm obsessed with Christmas music.
Same.
So the fact that Lou came out with a Christmas song, you get nervous because you really want it to be very good.
Good.
And honestly, I really and truly loved it and enjoyed it. I would listen to it in my car. I would sing it. I absolutely loved it. I cannot fathom that this was 34 out of 35 songs.
Yeah,
I agree. It is my second favorite.
So I get very possessive with Christmas and Halloween. So Halloween, I get possessive about movies. So like when you come out with a brand new Halloween movie, I'm like, it's going to suck. But you know, there's actually like that one Adam Sandler Hubie Halloween, amazing. Just came out last year. So good. But I get like new Halloween movies suck. You have to go traditional. Same thing for Christmas. It's the songs. Like, but there's been some songs over the past couple of years, like Kelly Clarkson has a couple of them. Like, they're good, but like I'm that traditional person where I'm like, I just have to listen to the old stuff, everything like that.
It's hard to incorporate new ones for those to squeeze into your like classic favorites.
Right. So yeah, phenomenal new song. So I'm so happy that's your number 2.
For us saying that like we liked her Christmas song is as you're saying,
great.
It's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Really good. Really good.
Enough that I had that at 2 over number 3, but it is my number 3. Money Can't Buy You Class.
Great. It's honestly, it's a Luann music special here.
It started it all, and you have to appreciate the Luann cabaret journey. So,
but that's the thing. Like, out of all these women, like Luann is the only one to stand up a cabaret to where she sings all of these songs. Like,
and listen, nobody's necessarily sitting here and saying that she has a good voice.
No, it's not. We're not.
I think most of these women on this list do not. But she makes catchy songs.
She does.
She really does.
She's a performer.
They're fun to sing. They're like, yes, go to a cabaret show and you would enjoy hearing these songs. They're playful. Right. They're fun. Like, you could bop around to them. So I'm all about it. Luann, girl, we love you. We honestly love you. So
yeah,
absolutely she gets the top 3 spots.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, that is it for Housewives for this evening. We're going to move over into our game. We are playing That Wide Receiver 1-2 Punch. We did this last year. It's such a fun game. We're going to continue to do it throughout as we get closer to the 2022 season. We're going to give you our top 5 wide receiver duo rankings, plus 1 honorable mention, and then the team that we think has the worst wide receiver duo. Just as an FYI, our wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 are coming from ESPN's depth chart for each team. So that's where we kind of looked at it. Obviously, things might change. We don't know. But as of today, this is what you'll see on ESPN.com. So, yeah. Katie, there is obviously a laundry list of teams. We went in, we took our top 5. We did an honorable mention, and we did, the worst, I guess, situation we think. I can put mine in ranking order 1 to 5, 1 being the best. If you want me to, I just took this list and highlighted the ones I thought were the best and the other ones. So it is up to you. Did you rank yours? Because I can rank mine.
I did rank mine. And
I can rank mine.
I could go first, 1 through 5 if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could rank them.
Okay. So my top 5 in order, I guess I'll start at 5. At 5, I went with Minnesota's Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen.
Mm-hmm.
At 4, I went with a new wide receiver duo with the Raiders' Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. I think we look at Devontae Adams. He's probably top 2 in wide receivers in the league. And then you're like, well, what about Hunter Renfrow? Last season, he had over 1,000 receiving yards to go with 9 touchdowns. So it's like, don't sleep on Hunter Renfrow. I think people forget about him. But now you're pairing him with Devontae Adams. That's a great duo right there. Of course, this has been a classic duo on lists like this for many seasons now. I've got Tampa Bay's Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. At 2, I have a new duo, a young duo, a new duo, a freaking scary duo in Miami's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And then I am giving the number 1 spot to another young duo. They combined for the most yards per game out of my top 5. They were 4th and 17th in receiving yards this past season. I'm going with Cincinnati's Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah. It's a great top 5 for sure, Katie. We actually went 4 for 5. So I just have one. I have one different.
Maybe it's my honorable mention.
It could be. So starting at number 5 for me, I'm actually going with the Rams, Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson. That's my 5th pick here. Number 4, I'm going with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for the Miami Dolphins. Number 3, I'm giving that, that traditional duo like you had mentioned, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think you had them at number 3 as well.
Yeah.
I'm actually bumping Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow to the 2 spot here. So I think it's a very awesome duo for Vegas. And I agree with you with number 1, young, but very, very scary duo. Let's see what they can do again this year with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in that number 1 spot. So definitely, there was actually a couple groups that I did go back and forth with. My honorable mention actually wasn't a team that I was trying to fit in the 5 group. Yeah. I just think that I should mention them in that whole context of honorable mention. But who is your honorable mention?
My honorable mention, and this is not a younger duo. This is more of a veteran duo. I'm going with the Chargers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah. And definitely veteran for sure. I'd like to think that mine is a veteran pick as well. I went with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So again, I wouldn't put them into my top 5 just given the circumstances with Russell Wilson leaving, but I still think they can be such a really good threat to that team. And I really hope that they continue to put up numbers where they are. So for me, that's why I slated them as my honorable mention.
All right.
And then who are you really thinking that just doesn't have it right now at wide receiver?
There are a few teams that
There are.
are very much so struggling at this position.
I had to do the most research in this one to really feel confident in my pick, because you're right. There are a couple of teams that are just
a lot of teams that are missing that traditional WR1. And then, it's tough. So there's potential for this team, but I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
That is the pairing of Drake London, who is a rookie, and Olamide Zaccheaus. Okay. So Zaccheaus is WR2. He played in all 17 games last year and only averaged 23 yards per game. So you're already just throwing in your rookie as your WR1. Drake was the first wide receiver off of the draft board at number 8 for Atlanta. But it's asking a lot. And it's not to say that we haven't seen rookie wide receivers come in and put up WR1 numbers. But I just think the fact that, like, it could have been pairing of Drake London and his potential with another, like, maybe not a superstar, but like a decent wide receiver. You're pairing a rookie and throwing that huge load on his shoulders and pairing him with someone who has no production. And then, of course, I want to mention, by the way, that Cordarrelle Patterson is listed as a running back by ESPN. So I'm not throwing him in. This is the duo for Atlanta. It is my worst duo in the league right now. If I had to give an honorable mention for this one, I don't know, maybe it'll be your team. I think the Green Bay Packers are really lacking as well.
They are.
They were in heavy consideration for my pick.
Yeah, actually, both teams were. They are not my my bottom pick here, but yes, I did analyze both of those teams. Unfortunately, because I do think it is a talented team, and for a team that was stacked offensively, you kind of put a question mark here. I'm going with Baltimore on this one. So you have Rashad Bateman and you have Devin DuVernay, but the trade with Hollywood Brown really was a huge question mark for many people, especially last season too, with the injuries that Baltimore dealt with and kind of, tossing. And I think I've mentioned it here. I mentioned it on maybe I was on another pod while you were on vacation, but throwing things into the hands of Lamar Jackson, and giving him everything sometimes isn't always the best situation for the Ravens. So for me, this is a huge question mark and something that I really feel like they could have advanced on a little bit more, whether it was in the draft, whether it was with giving away Hollywood Brown. What did you fully get in return for that? So that's just where I definitely put up a red flag there for them and had to put them in the last spot here.
All right.
Well, that was definitely interesting. I'm sure we'll evaluate some other positions as we continue with our off season and get a little creative with our games and our content. Like I said, obviously we're getting close to giving you fantasy football content as well. That'll probably be becoming, maybe the end of the month into August. But lots of things. But Kate, do you have anything for get it off your chest, positive, negative, football housewives, life, wine? I'm realizing now that I don't have anything top of mind.
No, mine's actually just pretty funny. And it's kind of ironic that I'm wearing. So I love obviously this sweater that I'm wearing. And I laughed when you gave it to me. You were like, oh, you can wear it on Thanksgiving or the day after. Cause I do host Thanksgiving. Right. So thinking of Thanksgiving and fall, I love the summer. Don't get me wrong. We've got so many activities. It's nice out. We can wear dresses. It's warm, or you go swimming. I am such a fall girl. And I think my mind is already putting me to not just football season, but to Thanksgiving, to Halloween. Katie, my anxiety travels into my dreams sometimes. And I had a nightmare last night. I kid you not, that it was the day of Halloween and I did not have a costume. And you know me, I take Halloween very seriously. Yeah. My costume is decided August, probably pretty much. And even though last year I was a little last minute, but I pulled it together. But I still go all out. I have Halloween parties. I love it. Every aspect about it. And I literally had a nightmare that I had to do something last minute and it was awful. And it was and everyone called me out on it. So I just think with that being said, that anxiety-ridden dream of me being nervous about my Halloween costume. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for the football season. Even though I do love summer, I'm really not trying to speed it up. Like we've got a ton of stuff planned for
I
the
feel
rest
like
of the
it's
summer.
going fast enough on its own.
It
So.
really is. The fact that the 4th of
July.
July already happened, I'm shocked. It's July 7. I don't know where the time went. But yes, so I think my mind's just there. I'm ready. I'm there.
All right. Well, I will say this. I guess my quick get off my chest, I'll just piggyback. I do feel as though, I know, Kate, we always try to look at good Giants games to attend together. And I think this season we've got some good ones because, obviously the warmer the weather, the better. So like the September, October games are always better for us. But the Giants have a lot of early games in their schedule against some very much easier opponents. I know off the top of my head, I know we have Chicago. I know we have Houston. We have Carolina. Those are all early games that we have at home at MetLife in like September and October. So I'm very excited about that. I think there's going to be some games that we can go to together and hopefully, tailgate with some of our viewers. And
Absolutely.
I'm not ready to rush summer by any means. Definitely not like, I can hold off on fall, but that is something that I'm greatly looking forward to. So
I agree. All righty. So as we end tonight's show, we want to give you things to not miss. Real Housewives of Atlanta is on Sundays at 8 p.m. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Wednesday at 8 p.m. And Dubai, yes, is still on. It's going strong. We're watching it Wednesdays at 9 p.m. So as always, thank you guys for joining us for the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Get all of the latest and greatest. There's not much happening, but things are happening, like the Baker Mayfield trade. So please keep following us on everything there. Listen to us on all your favorite podcast outlets. You got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the fun things where you go and listen. Make sure to listen to us. We've got some great stuff already locked and loaded for you. We've got a ton of great stuff for you guys coming in the coming weeks, coming months. So as always, thank you, and we will catch you on the next episode of RFFNJ.
bye.
Goodbye.